Hi everyone, and welcome to And So On. My name is Lisa, and today I have all the FOs to show you. All right, so I have a ton of finished objects to show you, and so I'm going to get right to it, and then I'll give you a little look and see on the things that I've also been working on. But to start off, I want to show you my Winterfell. So I know I've been talking about this forever, but I hadn't actually put in the zipper. And so the zipper is now in, and yeah, it's done. So I'll stand up really quickly so you can see how the zipper goes. And yeah, that's it. So I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I will put below the video by Suzanne Bryan that I used to put in the zipper. In the end, I decided to use my machine because I had already had a zipper put in to do something else. The one mistake I made is they said very specifically, actually it might not have been in that video, it might have been in a Craftsy video, to go the same direction on both sides. So either go top to bottom or bottom to top on both sides. And I didn't do that because I was a little uncomfortable on the opposite side, kind of squishing the sweater into the space between the needle and the machine. And so I didn't do that, and it was like the two top edges were way off. So what I ended up doing was unpicking about, I don't know, maybe 3 inches or something, something like that at the top, and then doing that portion by hand. So the only thing I would say is it does kind of list left. It does kind of list this way. That's pretty picky. The other thing is because I didn't adjust for the width of the button band, I should have made it half the width, right? Because normally they would be one on top of each other, and so you would only have a strip this wide going down, and instead it is twice as wide. So the only thing is that makes the neck wider, and I don't love that. I would kind of love for it to be, to sit more like this. I actually would like it a little higher. Part of me might, I don't know. I'm thinking I could take this edge and pick up some stitches and crochet something, or, well, let's be honest, I'm not gonna do that, but, but I could. And then there are the sleeves, which, again, I'd kind of like the cuffs longer. Maybe over Christmas I'll get to that. I was going to unpick it, and I actually had started. I had taken out the weaving in of ends, and I was going to put it back on the needles, and then I just decided I would rather spend my time doing other things right now. But I could pick up the stitches and do more. I do have a little more space. But other than that, I really like the length. It is really warm. So this is Dlana Canilla Rústica, I believe it's called. So it's a rustic wool, but it is merino. So let me see if I have the rest of it. Strange, I can't find the rest of it. But anyway, it is a rustic wool, but it's quite soft. So it does pick a little bit on the neck. I don't like to have it right up against my neck, but it doesn't pick on my wrists at all, or if it like touches my lower back. It's actually quite soft and very thick. So I did, I blocked it before I put in the zipper, and now I've been wearing it like a little jacket because it really works in this climate where it's sometimes cool in the morning, but then it's quite warm in the afternoon. I can take off my jacket and just have this, or I can use this alone. It fits under my leather jacket really nicely. It is quite close fitting. I generally don't love anything super snug on my arms. They're certainly not tight, like the sleeves aren't tight, they're just fitted. And I think I've gotten more used to like a balloon sleeve. So this is the Winterfell Aran, like I said, and I'll link the yarn below. I don't believe they ship internationally, but maybe you could convince them. So these were very inexpensive. I'll put below exactly how much they were for 100% rustic Spanish yarn, and it took me less than 4. Now I made the 3rd size. So I think if you were, even going up 1 size, you could probably still get away with just 4 of these cigar-shaped yarns. So I'm very happy with this. The only thing is that they call it gray. This to me is very much brown, but I think the color works and I like it. Okay, same yarn. Because I ordered 5 skeins, for lack of a better word, 5 skeins of this yarn. I had an entire one left over plus half of another, so I had 1.5 left. And so I made for myself some slippers. These are the non-felted slippers by Yuko NaKAMURA, and they're a free pattern on Ravelry. And I used this Aran yarn held double, okay? So that's what they look like. I don't wanna hold them too close because I have been wearing them a ton. Might be like hair on them or dust. They've already felted a bit on the bottom. So like I said, I held it double and they knit up super quick. I mean, I was done both of them within 2 afternoons kind of thing. The only thing is that the first one, I didn't read the instructions very well, and I ended up with 7 stitches across the top, and this one I did correctly, and there's 9. I mean, they're slippers. I don't think anyone's gonna notice, but I really love them. Like, I love that they look like little, almost like little loafers, like little shoes. Do you know what I mean? I did not block these because I wanted to hold on to some of that lanolin and oils to hopefully make them a little stronger. I also love that they have the garter on the bottom because it gives it a little bit more cushiness. And they're very warm. Now again, talking about it not being picky yarn, I wear these on bare feet and I have no problem at all. And actually I can't wear handmade socks on my feet, like directly on my feet, because I find them too itchy in general. And these I don't find itchy at all. Now I'm gonna put them on right now. I do like having them on top of socks because, here I can show you maybe a little bit. There we go. There, see? I do like having them on top of socks because that makes them even warmer. I don't have anything non-stick on the bottom because we live in a 1-level apartment with non-slip tiles everywhere. And so I haven't slipped. I actually have a bit of a phobia about stairs. Like, I never made slippers before. That's not true. I did make slippers, but I did put non-stick stuff on the bottom because I'm so petrified of falling downstairs or my kids falling downstairs. I once actually fell down 3 or 4 stairs in my house carrying my newborn. Like, I had Lily here and I was holding onto Audrey's hand and I slipped and fell like 3 stairs holding my baby like this. It was my absolute nightmare. So I don't generally make them, but I did make them for, make these, and I have another pair coming up next to show you that I made for Audrey. Where are they? So I made these for Audrey, and these are the Simple House Slippers by Temple of Knit. And I did pay for this pattern $3 to get the multi-sized version, but she has left up her original free version. So I will link that below as well. And I use these 2 hobby yarns, just regular sock yarns. I use those as like held double to make these. And yeah, and so they turned out really cute. They're kind of floppy, and for myself, I made these first, and for myself, I wanted something a little bit more substantial, which is why I made they would be bulky weight slippers. But for Audrey, these are great, and she loves them. She wears them. I love the the garter at the top, and then the way they taper down. They've really got that. There's something I like. I like the stockinette going down to the toe better than that kind of traditional house sock that is garter all the way down and then seamed up the front, do you know? Anyway, these also sewed up very, very quickly. Oh, there's already a little hole in the back. I'm gonna have to work on that. But she mostly wears these when she's like lying in bed and cozy. And yes, they turned out really great. So there's those. I also finished Lily's Fingerless Mitts. And these are called the Friends Fingerless Mitts by Dani Sunshine. It is a free pattern. Let me put them on even though they're not my size. There we go. And this is the size I made was child large, the larger child size. And I used a yarn from Knit Crate that's no longer available that has cotton lamb's wool and alpaca. So they're nice and soft. And I made her a hat, this hat last year, which is another free pattern. I'm gonna do a quick knit gifts free patterns video soon, very soon. This is the bankhead hat that I made last year. That's super cute and really, really quick. See, I could even wear it. And so this matches. So she wanted a matching pair. So I had the leftover yarn and I had a little bit of this leftover as well. And so I thought, I'll put in a little stripe. So now she has those and she loves them. And Lily, actually they both are very good about wearing the things that I make for them. And they're both pretty good about taking care of them. Okay, last FO is my study hall shawl. So if you'll remember, I was working on this and ta-da! There she is. Isn't she pretty? Yeah, so pretty, right? So I finished this, I guess last week, maybe, and I blocked it, and yeah, so this turned out really well. This is also a free pattern from Knitty, not a quick knit, I wouldn't say. You could probably get it done for Christmas for someone if you'd like. But yeah, so that's my study hall shawl. This is made from just sort of a hodgepodge of things that I had on hand. So this is undyed knit crate sock yarn. This is Rico special sock in the green. This here is Holstgarn Super Soft. And the last one is another inexpensive sock yarn from Hobby. And so I liked the idea of, let me take it off again. I like the idea of starting off with these 3 sets of stripes. So in the original, it's just 2 colors. It's just, well, generally a light and a dark. I think the original was cream with navy. But I wanted to kind of use different things. So there were an even number of stripes. And so I did the pink to the purple to the burgundy. I don't know if it's reading as burgundy, but it is burgundy. It's not black or anything like that or brown. And then there were 3 then repeats. And so I went with the 3 repeats. So I've got the pink, which repeats from the same place, and then this fuchsia violet color, which really just sings against the white. I love it. And then I brought back the burgundy at the bottom. The only thing, I also like to wear it like this, because it is really quite toasty. The only thing is that there's a basket weave pattern here at the bottom that I lost patience with very quickly. I was like, I'm not even gonna be able to see this because it's such a dark color and I'm not enjoying it. So I'm gonna just let that go and garter it. So I think that this last section is probably maybe, I don't know, three or four rows shy of complete, which I'm fine with. And then I went back to the white at the end as instructed, and I did a sewn bind off, which worked out really well. So this was my first experience with mosaic knitting. So if you see this pattern here, I've just tried 3 times to explain mosaic knitting. I'm gonna try one more time. So all mosaic knitting means is that you are doing a pattern of color work using slip stitches instead of having 2 strands that you're going back and forth with in the same row. So in this row, I only used white the entire, like this whole row would have been white, but when I came to the violet color, I would then skip the stitch and then knit the next one and skip the stitch. And there's a whole pattern, and over multiple rows, you then get this kind of pattern. And I did this because one of my next patterns that I wanna do has a mosaic knitting pattern, and I wanted to kind of have a go at it first with something that I wasn't, purchasing new yarn for, just to try out the technique. And I have to say, I really like that technique, and I'm looking forward to doing it on the Nick shawl coming up. Okay, so that is all my FOs, quite a lot, I think. And I only have one thing left on the needles, so I'm gonna show you that, and then I'm gonna tell you about what I have coming up next. So if you'll remember, my Brightfeather sweater by Jennifer Steingas is my first colorwork yoke pattern, and I have finished the colorwork yoke. Here she is. Ta-da! Isn't she pretty? I'm so happy. So I'll show you the floats too, because I think I'm pretty proud of these floats. I think they turned out really well. Isn't the float side? I think someone actually did a pattern, on using floats on the outside because it is very cool. Anyway, I had left this, I had sort of started it and then left it for a good chunk of time. And then when I finished this, I decided that before I was allowed to cast on the nicks, I had to make a good dent in this sweater as well as finish a few other things. So where's my pattern? Okay, so I will admit that initially I found the color work quite overwhelming. So I'm using a mixture of different yarns and everything's held double. So when I was doing the color work, I had 4 different balls of yarn in 4 different bowls sat in front of me. I can't remember if I took a picture or not. If I did, I'll put it in. So for the brown, I'm using, this is a Holstgarn, no, not Holst, yes, Holstgarn Noble base. So the Noble is mostly wool with some cashmere. And then I pair that with the Titicaca Alpaca. And then for the white, I have the same, this is this same yarn here, the undyed Knit Crate sock yarn, paired with Knitting for Olive white, do I have it handy? No. Knitting for Olive white silk mohair, which I love. So I had the 4 of them and I had to literally sit there and really focus. And I like to not do that when when I'm knitting. Yeah, when I'm knitting, I really kind of like to have to check the pattern, but then be able to go away for, you know, quite a lot of time and not think about it and be able to do other things and listen to things and watch things and such. And so having to sit at the dining room table and like really focus and like cross it off line by line, initially I found a little bit overwhelming. On top of that, so I'm trying to figure out how to do the right tension. I'm trying to figure out using continental, do I use 2 hands? Do I use 1 hand? So like if we look at this, you know, by here, I was like, color work is not for me. And then here I was like, well, you know, it's not so bad. And then by the time I got down here, I was like, I could do this again. I don't know that I'm like in love with color work, but I feel like I could get there. I feel like I could get there. So in the end, the way I ended up deciding to do color work, and if you want, I could do a video on this, is, I'm gonna take this off now, I'm getting hot. So in the end, I tried to hold 2 strands in my left hand and just do full continental, but I had a problem, I think because I was using 4 strands and the mohair kept getting caught up in things and it wasn't smooth. I think maybe if I just had 2 smooth strands of merino single, it would be totally fine. But in this case, it was a little bit more challenging. So that wasn't gonna work for me. And then I tried doing 1 in the left and 1 in the right, which is okay, but when I throw, my tension is very different and a little bit odd, and so it wasn't really natural. I do that. I do that if it is mostly my contrast color. So I was keeping the white in my left hand. So for rows that were mostly white with just little bits of brown coming in, I would do that. But when I got to the point where it was mostly brown with little hits of white, I would keep the brown on my finger, regular continental style, and then I would just let the white hang behind and I would pull it up with my middle finger, knit it, and then drop it, and then keep going, and then just pick it up with my middle finger. Same for holding floats. I would just pick it up with my middle finger, go in behind it, get the brown, come out and get it, and leave the white there, if that makes any sense. So by the end, I had started to get a rhythm, and I wasn't needing to sit at the table anymore. I could sit on the couch, and I even stopped highlighting. I don't want to show you my pattern and show you something that's paid for, but in the end, I wasn't even using my highlighter to cross off the rows. I was able to keep track. So I think, you know, this sort of process of learning was happening. So that's gonna be pretty, eh? I think it's gonna be really nice, and it's gonna be very warm. So now I am just on the body, and I have, you know, a good chunk. So this was yesterday. I did this chunk yesterday. And I have a good chunk of the body done. Yeah, so I mean, there's a good amount there, but still lots to go. Oh, I just dropped something. I am using for this are you gonna focus? There we go. I am using for this my Yuka noodles. My Yuka needles. The short ones, because I sometimes find when I have longer needles, they actually push into my pinky and my fourth finger, my ring finger, and cause a little bit of pain when I'm doing a lot of repetitive motion, like a stockinette, like a body island. So I've been doing the shorter needles and that works really well. But if you can believe it, wait 1 second. So a couple of videos ago, I was talking about how I had been looking at the Chow Goose for a long time, and I just in the end decided I couldn't really justify it. And so I bought some of these shorter needles. I had a lovely lady named Claire from Scotland reach out to me on Instagram and say, I actually really prefer Haya Hayas to Chow Gu. I'd love for them to go to a good home. Can I send them to you? And I'll be honest, I'm Canadian. My first instinct was, oh no, I couldn't. Oh no, I couldn't. And then I reined it in and I was like, wow, that's incredibly generous of you. Yes, I would love to take you up on that. And so, look at the Chow Goose. And she even, so actually I've already kind of put a couple of my strays in here as well. So this side is my strays, but look at all of these beautiful needles that she sent me. I mean, I was overwhelmed. I was just so thrilled and giddy when they arrived. And I used them to finish off, did I use them to finish off this? I used them for my color work. I've used them on a sock. They're amazing and so generous. So I've made a little something for Claire and I popped it in the mail, and actually you'll see what it is coming up too. Not today, but another day. So generous, and I understand the inclination of wanting someone who will really appreciate them, and I will really appreciate them. Okay, so what I have coming up are some hats, some gift hats. So I put these little, last year, because we were away from home, I did these little gift boxes outside the girls' door every night rather than doing just a chocolate advent calendar, and I put a little something. So sometimes it was hair ties or a chocolate or a pair of socks, that kind of thing. Anyway, this year I want to start off with a hat. Maybe not start off, maybe the second day. So one thing I ordered on Amazon, so I've kind of come to the conclusion that we're not gonna be going home anytime soon and nobody's gonna be coming to see us. So let me show you what I bought on Amazon. Canadian maple syrup, 1 liter. Yes, I bought maple syrup on Amazon. We have been nursing the last little, 250 milliliter thing of maple syrup that someone brought us before the quarantine. So, getting on close to a year now, really. I mean, 9 months, 10 months, whatever it is. And we love maple syrup. Like, we make pancakes and, putting it on oatmeal or whatever. Anyway, finally I got to the point where I thought, you know what, this is ridiculous. And there are places in town where you can buy maple syrup, but it's extremely expensive and it's not Canadian. Not that I think that American maple syrup isn't good either, but it's just like, if you're gonna get the taste of home, you want that taste of home, right? So this Canadian maple syrup was on Amazon yesterday during Black Friday. I bought it for 20 euros, which isn't, isn't cheap by any stretch. But if I were to get that size at Costco, it would probably cost me about 12 or 13 Canadian. And if you put that in the mail, it's certainly not gonna be less expensive for someone to mail it to me from Canada, put it that way. Anyway, so I got the maple syrup. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so I also ordered, as a thing from home, candy canes for the girls' advent boxes, because candy canes in Spain are fruit flavored. They're not mint. Last year I remember we went and we were trying to get one and I said, oh, which one is mint? And they looked at me like I had 3 heads. They had no idea. And so it's hard to find minty candy canes. So I splashed out the €3.79 and I got 12 minty candy canes for the kids. Anyway, so that'll be the first day. And then the second day, I want to make them each a hat. Even though Lily has this little green one, it's not super warm. It's more of like a transitional season hat, and she could wear it inside, but I want a hat. So I don't know which ones I'm making yet. I have black yarn for Audrey, and I'm not even sure yet what I'm going to use for Lily. And then I also want to use the rest of this yarn to, here we go, which is a DMC Pirouette acrylic yarn, to make a hat. And I might even have enough for hand warmers for my Spanish teacher to match the cowl that I made for her, that every time I see her, she's like, oh, I wore the cowl, or I wore the cowl. Like, she really likes it. So I want to make her a matching hat in time for Christmas. And then in terms of, for me, the next thing I'm going to cast on is the NYX shawl by Natasha Hornby. I have all the yarn. I just haven't bought the pattern yet, but that's on my list. It's in my queue. And then the other thing I have still is my yak yarn. One sec. I have this yarn from Schachenmeyer, and this is their Merino yak. I have this color and I have this color. And as you can see, I started a pair of socks. I started a pair of cable socks. I can't remember the name. I was trying to remember the name. But they're just not working out for me. So I'm gonna let them go and do socks out of something else. I think I'm gonna use this yarn to learn to color brioche, because I haven't done brioche before, and I have a class on Craftsy that teaches brioche, and I might just do either a brioche cowl or a brioche hat. I'm not sure which yet. We'll have to see. Anyway, I think that's all. I think that's all my knitting. I have more sewing coming up. I'm gonna be having some quick gifts videos, both for knitting and for sewing. And I'm still working on my jeans. They're coming, they are coming. And I'm also making a couple things for Lily. So actually it's quite a workshop here right now. If you could see behind me, there's quite the assembly line, and the girls are getting involved too, which is always fun. Anyway, I will definitely endeavor to show you guys some of the Christmas cheer in Sitges this year. I can't say I'm going to be doing a daily anything, but but I will try to be around a little more often this month and show you a little bit of the Christmas time cheer in Sitges. All right, guys, it is actually a very beautiful sunny day out. I'll leave you with the sunset yesterday. So we had a little get together with friends of ours. Well, get together. We went to a patio with two friends of ours, and we sat on our side of the table and they sat on theirs. But our patios are back open. So I know North America is sort of shutting down again, but we're kind of back in the, we did that, and now we're doing the back to opening up. And so yes, we just sat on a patio, and there was a beautiful, beautiful sunset with waves. People were surfing. It was so beautiful. So I'm gonna leave you with that. I hope wherever you are, the sun is shining and you are knitting or sewing or whatever makes you happy. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Should we walk to San Sebastian? Yeah. Is it going to be warmer? They might have heaters. Where did we have heaters last time? Oh, that was at the...